Do you hear me on Facebook, on LinkedIn? We are going live on YouTube now. Let's check if we are live on Facebook. I can't imagine how many tabs I have open here. Hello everyone, YouTube guys. Hello, how are you? And welcome. Today we are going live with an actual webinar, and in this webinar I have lots of information to tell you, and lots of resources, lots of articles, lots of links, and you will receive the slides in an email, hopefully tomorrow. So hello and welcome. I'm checking if everybody is joining on Facebook. Do people see me in Facebook? Do you guys see me on Facebook, or do you hear me on Facebook? On LinkedIn as well? Um, I don't think I'm live on Facebook. Let me check. I think I'm having some issues with going live on LinkedIn and Facebook. So let me, I think LinkedIn is now online. I'm supposed to be live on LinkedIn now. I'm finally live on LinkedIn. Oh wow, we have lots of people here on YouTube. Hello, 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 hi. Happy to join. Thank you, Ammar, and welcome. And Ammar is saying self-learning is wrong, and it's better to follow an expert and start learning in a better way. That's true, because here's the thing: lots of people don't know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how did you learn. What matters is what you learned at the end of the road. So, if somebody can guide you into the right direction, it's way better than juggling and to do different things and trying to find what I should learn and not to go into the wrong direction and juggling between different things, and that's at the end might frustrate you more, and you might lose the motivation, might take long time until you reach the same results that somebody else is getting in 6 months, for example, learning following an expert or following somebody who already reached the point where you are going. Abdul Dion, I'm thinking of joining your course. You're absolutely welcome. Well, maybe 10. Okay. Let me just check on the Facebook, guys. So we are not live on Facebook. Not yet. So that might be an issue we are having on Restream. So it's okay. We will keep it on YouTube, and as well, we will be having it on LinkedIn. So guys on LinkedIn, do you hear me well? I don't see any comments on the LinkedIn part. Guys on LinkedIn, do you hear me? Can you write in the comments if you hear me well? All right, I will share the YouTube so people can on Facebook can join as well. Mm, People in LinkedIn, they are not hearing me well, I think. Yes, I can see their comments. Yes, we can. Yeah, I hear you. The audio is clear. The audio is okay. Perfect. So, hello everyone and welcome. Today we are talking about the top 3 most required penetration testing skills in 2021. I'm just looking at the chat. Self-learning is good with a mentor. It's also good. Plus, employing what you have in the internship before course. Okay. Um, So very good. So today we are talking about a topic that I really talked about, which is penetration testing. I have talked about penetration testing compared to malware analysis, blue team or red team, or the offensive side or the defensive side, and how the job difference looks like between both. Um, but today, I'm going to talk about if you choose the penetration testing line, if you are really passionate about penetration testing, and I always say follow your passion regardless of what's the jobs, what's everything. But if you follow penetration testing, how you can outstand from all the crowd? We all know that in penetration testing there is so many different people learning this field, and very few who jobs compared to the number of candidates. If you choose penetration testing, how you can outstand from all of this crowd and be the one who get the job? And this is something I see lots of people who are taking penetration testing courses, that they all learn the exact same things, and what they are learning is not what really the companies need. And once they get into a job, they discover that they have to do completely different from what they have learned in different courses. Regarding of how the price of this course, then how known the certificate is, it doesn't matter. What you learn in the course becomes completely different from what's in the real life, what's actually inside the company. What the company wants to protect themselves from are the attacks, the ransomware attacks, the EBT attacks, the attacks that cost them millions of dollars. If you don't know how to understand these techniques, you will not be outstanding in the market. Today we'll talk about the 3 top main required or most required penetration testing skills. And the truth is that 90% of people that I see don't have these skills, and we'll talk about them today. So, um, I will not be looking at the chat, so I will have the slides that takes the full screen. I have only one screen actually, so mostly I will not be looking at the chat up here, um, but I will try to swap from time to time, looking at the slides and looking at the chat and answering some questions if there's. Dre Dark is saying, and what companies need outside of Udemy courses? That's a very good question, and I will be answering it today. So let's get started, I think. Shall we? Let me drink some water. Just to mention, you will get the slides today or tomorrow through email. I know that many of you guys will want to take screenshots, wants to all the links to get all the links, the name of books, and so on. I will be sending you the slides. So just focus on the slides, focus on learning, and you will receive all the slides later. So you don't need screenshots. And before we start, if you guys can share the YouTube link on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, so we can get as many people joining as possible, and lots of people can learn from this presentation today. So please share it on your Facebook, share it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook group. Just take the YouTube link and share it. That will be really helpful. So let's get started. The top 3 most required penetration testing skills in 2021. So, what I want you to get out of today, what I want you to understand is that I want you to understand what are the real threats that companies are facing. What's your main task as a pen tester? It's basically to detect the weaknesses inside an organization and to help them protect against the threats they are facing. So the first thing you need to know is what type of threats they are actually facing in the market and in the wild right now, and what are the main required penetration testing skills in the job market, and after that, we'll be covering the prerequisites that you need to have before start learning penetration testing, and the full roadmap to learn these skills. So we're talking about the type of threats that companies are facing, the three skills that you really need to learn, the prerequisites before you learn these skills. What are the main things you should learn before you actually start learning penetration testing, and then the full roadmap with all the links, all the resources, and as well at the end of this presentation, we will be talking also about our red team training just in the last 10-15 minutes. So if that's okay, let's get started. So who's this presentation is for? It's for people who are learning ethical hacking, penetration testing, for people who are studying red teaming, studying offensive in general, web bounty hunters, and people who are interested in cybersecurity in general. People who are enthusiasts like students and as well the professionals who are working in this field. So let's get started. First, if you don't know who I am, if this is your first presentation you see for me, or you have seen just some of my videos, my name is Amr Thabit, and I'm a former malware researcher in Semantic. I'm also currently a vulnerability engineer in Tenable. I am the author of Mastering Malware Analysis and speaker in different conferences around the world, including DEF CON, VB Conference, and others. So, people are asking, okay, Amr, you have spent your life working as a malware analyst. What do you know about penetration testing? What you do offer in this field? What do you know about it? So people don't know that when I started with penetration testing first. Like everybody who's learning, who's joining cybersecurity, he gets first interested to learn ethical hacking and how ethical hacking works and so on, and then moves and shifts to something else. So I started with penetration testing. I was reading the Application Hackers Handbook, testing on different websites, and solving different vulnerability machines from the internet, helping my friends going through the OSP vulnerability machines, the labs that that they do provide, and they used so many of what people know, the known tools, Kali Linux, Metasploit, Nasus, which I'm working in right now, SQL Map, and so many other tools, John the Ripper, Rainbow, whatever, all the type of tools you could ever imagine. I studied all of that. I followed so many different courses and as well studied by myself. And I thought that I know a lot about penetration testing. I know all the WASP top 10, the web attacks, the normal vulnerabilities, OS fingerprinting, all the things you know about penetration testing. I have already studied and I've been studying for years. And I thought that I know everything until I started working in Semantic. I worked in Semantic in a team called the Attack Investigation Team, and our job was to investigate different attacks that happens on top companies around the world or top targets. It doesn't have to be companies, maybe embassies, maybe or maybe organizations, governments, so many different things. And we were monitoring these attacks, the top EBT attacks, and the top hackers around the world. We were seeing how they craft their attack, how they craft their malware, and how they evolve through the years, how they change their malware, how they improve, um, how they move step by step inside an organization. We had our own sensors inside every organization, big organizations, and we were seeing how this attack is moving from one machine to another, to a third, to a fourth. And what I learned there inside this team was completely shocking for me, because all what I have learned in penetration testing courses was on one side, and what I was seeing is completely different thing. What's happening from top hackers around the world, from nation state hackers, from professional hackers for hires, even different groups from Pakistan, from Iran, um, uh, from uh, from I don't know, Spain, from Russia, from US. So many, all of these attacks looked completely different from what I have learned actually in most of the penetration testing courses. It doesn't mean that these techniques are not usable at all, but they are not the commonly used. The common techniques and the common ways of performing the attack are different. The strategy is completely different. The main strategy is actually different from what I have been learning. And I discovered that, um, as I said, I understood that most of what you learn in penetration testing courses are the least common used techniques in the wild. They are not the one that are being used, and not the one that gets the companies to lose millions of dollars in a ransomware attack or other types of attacks. And I noticed that most of the attacks are actually relying on social engineering and malware. Most of the work inside the organization, most of the attack actually happen inside the organization. They don't target server side applications. They don't target FTP and SMTP and POP3 and all of these protocols. They try to get into one of the employees. They target the employees themselves. Once they get in their foot inside the organization, they work on using privilege escalation, lateral movement, defense evasion to get through the organization from one machine to another and bypass the security controls, the security team, the incident response team, and all of that. And most of the APT attacks, they excel in bypassing detection and hide the tracks as they go, which is something you don't learn and you don't test when you are doing penetration testing. You will be surprised from that, but in penetration testing, you don't try to avoid detection. Actually, the security team, the SOC team, or the incident response, they know about this penetration testing. They know the IPs. They are seeing you in the logs. They monitor you, and they don't react. They just let you do your attack. So, like 70% of what makes the attack successful is not being tested at all. And which is the security teams. And I understood that. The people who learn these skills, when I looked at people who I know who's studying penetration testing and trying to find a job in it, or people who are even opening their own business, the ones who succeeded, the ones who understood what companies need, what type of attacks the companies are facing, and you're able to simulate these attacks. They're able to use these techniques to actually perform the penetration testing assessments or red team assessments, which we'll talk about now. I understood that the people who have these skills that we'll cover in this presentation are the people who become successful, and they were able to either find a job or have a very successful business. And I was talking, I think maybe last month with a friend of mine, and he has his own business in penetration testing and red teaming and so on. And the only problem they are facing is they don't have time for all the amount of clients. I was like, probably we can work together. Probably I can bring you some clients. I was like, I don't want clients. I have too many. I want people to work with me so I can expand. I already have too many clients. That's the problem when you really understand red teaming and understand the real threats that companies are facing nowadays. So that's what we will be talking about today, and we'll be covering the three most important skills. We'll go like that. We will cover the prerequisites first. So this is then what you need to learn before you start learning penetration testing or red teaming or whatever you want to learn. Then we'll talk about the three most required penetration testing skills, how to learn these skills, all the resources needed, and then we'll talk about the training that I have prepared for you. Will be in the last 10-15 minutes. I will take a look at the questions for a second, look at all the chat. Okay. So just share this content on LinkedIn. Amazing. I heard of Kevin Mitnick books. Are they really so practical nowadays? I will answer that question Malware attacks is, and the social engineering is the top threat organization can face. That's true. And as well, Khulud is adding an insider threat. That's also an issue. Um, uh, Dre Dark is saying ABT attacks equal advanced persistent threats. Yes, exactly. Um, So, yes, let me answer some questions here. I forgot. Kevin Mitnick books are they practical nowadays? The social engineering science is still the same. People are the same 1,000 years ago until today, and 1,000 years ago, upcoming years to come. So people have the same psychology tricks and the same emotions. They still you can play on them. The stories are a bit old and dramatic, but there are some learning to them. So there is also a really interesting question before we start is about Udemy courses. And here's the thing: Udemy courses, they mostly focus on techniques that are not in the wild, and as well they mostly focus on tools. Um, Let me get to them a bit later. I actually have something we'll cover more about this point. So let's get to the prerequisites. Um, so what you need to have as prerequisites. The first thing, you will need to have the Windows administration skills. Um, why Windows is because in any organization, most of the employees are having Windows machines or Mac. Windows is the most common. There is Mac, but Windows is the most common. And understanding Windows, also understanding administration of Windows or Linux, will give you the foundation for so many things, specifically about networks, IP, default gateway, and all of these different things. Um, Windows administration is the basic. You don't have to have certificates in there. You don't have to have any certificates. But to understand beyond just what is, apart from double clicking and renaming a file, understanding what are the file types, let's say, virtualization and virtual machines, understanding also about what's process, what's thread, what's registry. Um, and so on, understanding different things like authorization and authentication, which we'll talk about just now. So Windows administration skills, you don't have to have a certificate, but to at least understand more, understand file types. Let's say, I have some of my students who face an issue with understanding file extensions and file types and so on. So this is the first thing. Second, you will need to understand networking. You need to understand the different protocols, TCP, UDP, IP, HTTP, DNS, HTTPS, and so on. And also understand the underlying structure, like how the packet look like, byte by byte. What's exactly there? How's the TCP handshake looks like? As being done, what's SYN and ACK and SYNAC and FIN packets, and how these packets looks like, and learn the tools that used to analyze them, like Wireshark, for example. So these networking skills are really important for you to understand penetration testing. Most of your hacking is happening on a remote machine, which you send network packets and receive network packets. And if you don't understand what's happening inside the network, you'll be blind on so many things that's happening in the attack part, and that will not make you really professional. You will need to have, after you learn these prerequisites, to start you can start learning ethical hacking. But here's the thing. If you want to learn penetration testing and dive into penetration testing or red teaming or whatever the offensive direction you take, you will need to have some of the cybersecurity fundamentals. CH, which is Certified Ethical Hacker, it's not really teaching you how to be an ethical hacker, but it's good to be a really fundamental training. It tells you all the necessary things to learn about cybersecurity in general. Security Plus is the same. What's important is the material, not the actual certification. With the material, you can get a really cheap training about that. Let's say Udemy courses can be good, stuff like this. The certifications are not what's the target here. Optional, understanding of the operating system internals will be also a great add. how the kernel mode, user mode, how they work, what's processor, and all of this. It's actually a good plus. If there's any question about this part. So this is the prerequisites to learn penetration testing and to actually dive into penetration testing in general. If you don't have these prerequisites, you will have the slides of the training today. Just follow this. Just try to check these boxes and then continue with the resources we'll cover today. Ahmad Tara is saying technical skills or non-technical skills. Technical skills is the most important. So I see questions talks about the certification and the peer experience, and I want to get to that more in depth after we talk about the three skills. But the most important here is that there are two types of companies you mostly face when you want to get a job in cybersecurity in general, or let's say two different types of managers. We ignore the HR for now. You can directly reach the hiring manager. You can avoid going through the normal hiring process and exploit the idea of you can make connections on LinkedIn and reach out to the hiring manager directly, and that can give you a heads up if the HR is rejecting resumes just because they don't have prior experience or they don't have certificates. For the hiring managers, there are two types of people. One is he doesn't understand the job. He just wants someone to do it and he doesn't know what he's doing. For him, it's a black box. So he will rely on certifications as the only way to verify this person understands the topic that he is supposed to work on or not. If I am hiring somebody to do, let's say, to do something in Azure, or let's say something else, someone who will use Alibaba Cloud. I don't know anything about Alibaba Cloud. I will just hire. If I will hire someone, I will rely on the fact that he has a certificate from Alibaba that he understands Alibaba Cloud. That's the only thing I will rely on. But if the hiring manager understands the job, he was a penetration tester, he understands the job, then he will not rely on the certificates or prior experience. He will rely on what skills you actually have. And you can show these skills through many different ways, through your own blogs, your own website, your own tools, your own researches, and as well your own, and also how you can show that in your resume. Show your projects that you have created or your the tools or whatever you have done. Show it on your resume and show the skills you have. You have that this project. How I can say it. The skills that this project shows from you. So let's say I have created this tool that does, let's say, I have created a rat tool that can bypass these defenses. So it can escalate privileges, can do lateral movements, and can do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm really good in privilege escalation and lateral movement in development and as well in defense evasion. So I show that I have these parts. I have these skill sets has been checked. So what you have to do is create projects, researches, and tools that shows your skills, and also blogs and videos that you can show to the hiring manager so he can say, oh, this person looks like he's smart and he knows what he's studying. Anyway, so that's for the prerequisites, and this is the part that I want to talk about. Concepts first, products second. Don't try to learn the tools. Tools are really important to learn, of course, because you will need to use them, but don't just focus on learning how to use the tools. Don't just learn how to use Metasploit and find the version, and from the version find the vulnerability that works and scan, and that's it. You don't need to only rely on tools because tools change. Very known tools in the past have been deprecated and has been removed. If you only learn the tools, you will never go beyond these tools. You will never create your own tools. You will be deprecated once these tools are being deprecated, and you will be always just a user. You need to learn how these tools work. Tools change through time, but concepts don't. And the thing is that, which is what I see mostly with Udemy courses, is that the people who are teaching, they are teaching tools. They don't teach concepts. They don't teach expertise. Most of the people who offer their trainings, they know that they are offering these trainings for $10. They know that they have just read the book yesterday and they want to teach what they have read in the book, or they know how to use some tools and they teach these tools. They don't have the expertise insights. They don't know what is the strategy, or how these tools work, what's the concepts behind them. They just know how to use them and they teach you how to use them. And that's good. That's okay for the complete basic information. But it's not good if you want to build your own skills in penetration testing and find a job in that field. Because if you only know the tools, the company will understand that, the hiring manager will understand that, and he will know that he can replace you with a script. He doesn't need to hire you. He needs to hire somebody who can actually build a strategy, know when to use these tools, able to learn new tools and new stuff, and able to even develop the next tools. So that's the main difference that I see between Udemy courses and professional trainings. Between what I see, what so many people are learning, oh, how to use Kali Linux, how to use a SQL map, how to use Metasploit, how to use Nasus. These tools are just tools. They might disappear tomorrow. They might completely change tomorrow on how to use them. But what you need to learn is how they do work. PowerSploit was a very known tool, or has been used for years. Now it has been completely deprecated. Empire, which also a known one, has been deprecated, but the concepts hasn't been deprecated. And now you can use the same knowledge you have learned, the same concepts you can continue in the next tools that appears later on. So that's the my 2 cents about that. We'll get back. CTFs you could show your skills. CTFs you could show your skills. Yes and no. CTFs has a problem, is that if you are not a winner, if you are not top 1, 2, 3, you are not known. This is the first thing. Second thing, which is the main issue, is that most of CTFs are not they are not really the real life attacks. They don't show the real life things. They give you a challenge, maybe steganography, maybe a little bit of crypto, maybe a little bit of this and that. It's just challenges, but it doesn't mean that this happens in real life. You need to understand what's in the real life, what companies are paying for. Ahmad Tariq is saying بكل فخر صنع في مصر. Thank you very much. So let's continue. So let's talk about the 3 skills, the most required 3 skills in the market, in the penetration testing market nowadays. The first thing is to be able to simulate real attacks, as known as Rethinking. So, sorry, these slides I didn't do. So, well, I'm doing the slides like yesterday, so it was really tough to do all the slides in the last 2 weeks. So anyway, EBT attacks. Companies are facing EBT attacks every single day. Some of them are successful, some of them are not. But EBT attacks, ransomware attacks, targeted attacks is something that makes companies lose millions of dollars. We are seeing the ransomware attacks, especially nowadays, especially after Corona, they have increased so much. And let's be honest here, ransomware attacks are a very profitable business. They attack a company, they encrypt the files. No one can decrypt these files. The FBI can decrypt them, the NSA can decrypt them. Nobody can decrypt these files except the attackers in most of the ransomwares, right? And you have to pay them to get your files back. Or they can steal this information and ask for a ransom to not publish this information online. Some of them are company secrets, source code, and so many different things. Nowadays, we are seeing attacks against so many big companies. FireEye has been attacked. SolarWinds has attacked 160 organizations, including FireEye. FireEye also, their toolkit has been leaked. Even the gaming industry, they have different known companies have been attacked, EA, and so many others. There is also attacks in the health sector, attacks in Middle East. There's so many attacks in Middle East right nowadays, and so many leaked information. And the leakings happen with a ransom. They ask them, "You pay the ransom, we will not leak the data. You don't pay the ransom, this data will be leaked, and you will be facing the consequences, the reputation damage, and all the indirect costs." And companies at the end, they have to pay. And who doesn't pay, they get all of their information leaked online. And we have seen this a lot. So EBT attacks is really a big issue. We are facing EBT attacks. Companies are facing EBT attacks. Every second day we are hearing about leaks. And things that stayed for a long time, something like WannaCry, NotBTM, even Tesla has been attacked. So this is what the companies are scared from, especially the target ransomware attacks. This is a profitable business, as I said. And if a company know how to protect themselves against these attacks so they don't happen to them as well, that's for them is like $1 million price, because they are losing millions when this attack happens. They are losing through the files have been encrypted. They're losing in the reputational damage. Their clients they have lost, big contracts they lose. So they know that it's a very costly attack to them. How IBT attack starts? You see, when you are learning penetration testing, you know that most of the attack starts with nmap. You know, scanner, or knowing all the different IPs, all the known subdomains. You scan all of them. You know what's the operating systems, the open surfaces, and then you start your hacking through this way. You need to forget about that, because that's not what's mostly happening. What's mostly happening is this: spear phishing, which is what we mostly see; supply chain, which is like SolarWinds attack. They attack a company that sells software or something else to another company, and then they inject their malware inside the company product, and this product is being delivered everywhere, and this way they can deliver their malware. So they are using one of the third parties to attack the main company. Or an insider, they might use someone inside the organization, bribe him or whatever they do to install the malware inside one of the machines in the organization. One of the known stories is Stuxnet. I don't know if they have found the insider, but it was an air-gapped systems. How Stuxnet was able to get inside? Well, they were able to do so through an insider. So this is what we see. Sometimes we see a zero-day or a recently published vulnerability, something like the Microsoft Exchange one, that was very recent. But this is mostly is used a kind of a worm. They scan the internet for anyone that has this vulnerability, because it has a very short window that can be used. And then they attack different systems. They get inside. They use this vulnerability, and that's it. After sometimes it's being patched. So we mostly see it in not a very targeted attacks, but kind of semi-targeted or very high profile. Like let's say they're hacking, or like let's say NSA wants to hack. I don't know. Once, or something like Stuxnet attack, where there's an attack on nuclear reactor. This time they might use 1 or 2 0 days, but most of the cases we don't see a 0-day attack. Mostly we see spear phishing and social engineering what leads to the attack to happen. As we said, some very rare cases, something like Jeff Bezos attack, WhatsApp attack that used actually a 0-day, and this is a very high profile target, and the winning for them, whatever politically or financially, was very high. Lots of people are learning web bug hunting, and they are focusing so much on web testing and web attacks. Well, the truth is there are very rare ABT attacks that have been seen using web attacks or any public-facing surfaces. Most of people who are learning bug bounty, the truth is there is so many white hackers compared to black hat hackers. So many white hat hackers compared to black hat hackers. and especially in the web attacks industry. So if someone wants to hack Facebook, he will never go through finding a web attack, a web vulnerability in Facebook website. He will go through spear phishing, will go through um, any of the previous types of attacks. But web attacks for them is a losing battle. And companies know that. You as a bounty hunter, you might get a vulnerability, and after you report it, you discover it's being duplicate. There is somebody else have been already discovered the same vulnerability and has already reported it. So there's so many people who are scanning these applications every single day trying to find vulnerabilities. So for an attacker point of view, it's not really worth the investment to try to outsmart all these people to discover a vulnerability and use it for only a few hours because somebody else will also report it or the detection team might find it. So most of the people don't go through this process. Most of the attackers don't go through this process, and companies know about it. So they have their bounty. Their bounties are mostly not very high price. Works very well for companies who have low currencies, but not a good salary for actually working full time trying to find vulnerabilities in different websites. It's a very low payment if you consider uh, the normal wage for any ethical hacker or penetration tester. Sorry. And the reason why is because there is very few web attacks that we see in the market nowadays that use web attacks. Very few EBT attacks that use web attacks. Um, um, so um, Sir, can you please elaborate more on the topic by giving an example on how should we learn how the tools work rather than how to use the tools? We will get into that in the second skill. So just be patient. We will cover that. Recently, I saw a bunch of CTFs are being sold on YouTube. I don't know if it really helping anyone who's beginning to learn. Um, Another question, is it good to learn from CTFs? CTFs, as I said, that the majority of them, they are not really the real attacks you see in real life. Some vulnerable machines might be a good start, but it's not a way that you can continue learning from. Watching some CTFs being solved is not always helpful. Some of these CTFs are similar to real life attacks, but the vast majority are not. So I would recommend that you focus on what's really important to learn rather than, oh, let's watch this YouTube video and this YouTube video and this YouTube video. And this is what I'm saying about having a mentor and having somebody who guides you, because it's easy to get lost in so many different material that doesn't actually matter in the world in the market nowadays. What's really matter for companies is the ABT attacks, is the ransomware attacks, the phishing attacks, um, the this type of threats that we see, the target attacks, to get to elevate their detections, their security teams to be able to detect these attacks. That's what really matters to them, not the crypto or the steganography or these different types of CTFs, or even this web attacks that's inside the cookie and here and there. It's not what they are mostly facing. And the CTFs don't give you the fundamentals that you need. So there are different trainings that can give you the fundamental skills, not a piece of information here and there. So if you are learning penetration testing, you need to have this as your map. You don't need to follow different CTFs and different techniques here and there, and different courses who covers the things that doesn't really matter. This is your map. This is the techniques that have been used in the wild, has been used by attackers, and this is the map of all the techniques that might be or might be not used. This is all the different tactics, techniques, and um, and procedures that the attackers might use. You have here, let's say, spear phishing with attachment, exploitation, DLL searching, and DLL search order hijacking. That's to maintain persistence. For privilege escalation is using the same DLL search order hijacking. If you don't know what's DLL search order hijacking, you are missing a lot. If you are a pen tester and you already have learned a lot and you have studied so many courses, and you don't know you don't know this technique that's being used here in persistence and privilege escalation, defense evasion, you don't know what this technique is, you might be missing a lot. If you only know how to use it through a script here like PowerUp script or PowerSploit, which is already deprecated tool, then you are also having an issue. You need to understand how these attacks actually work, how this technique actually work, how all of this step by step, all of these techniques, how they work, and how you can use them in your own attack. And here's the thing. With the APT Navigator, you can see all these techniques. It's something called Meta Attack Navigator. You can see all of these techniques, and you can see the different attack groups from China, US attacks, Iranian APT groups, wherever the APT group, wherever the attack is, and what the techniques they have used to perform their attack. Let's say you are performing a penetration testing assessment on a company, on let's say a bank. What are the known APT groups that target banks and target the country that this bank is? Let's say this bank is in Bangladesh. Let's say what are the APT groups that target Bangladesh? What are the APT attackers that target banks? And what actually have targeted another bank before in Bangladesh and have made a successful attack? What is their tactics and techniques and procedures? What are the techniques they have used from here? And from that, how I can simulate these attacks, how I can perform an assessment where I do similar attack to what they might be facing, what the threats that they might be facing in the real world. This is what we call it red teaming, is to learn the common techniques that are used by APT groups, learn how to simulate these attacks, and actually perform an attack that looks like a real attack from a real company. This attack will not only test the security controls they have, it will test the security teams, it will test the incident response team, it will test all their defenses, every way they can protect their organization. And you will show them that you can still get inside if you can. You will show them that you can still get inside and you still can perform a ransomware attack if it's needed, or perform or steal their secrets or whatever you want to prove. And you can show them all the weaknesses they have according to this map of techniques. This is what you should be learning, not Nmap, Nmap is still a useful tool, but not only the port scanning and OS fingerprinting and Metasploit, and just scan the port with Metasploit and hopefully you will find the vulnerability. That's not what you should be learning. That's what you should be learning. This technique is what you should be learning. So the first skill you should be learning is red teaming, is understanding APT attacks fully, and also understand how to perform these attacks and how to actually simulate an attack step by step and do an assessment exactly like an APT group will be doing it. Some people are asking, so what's the difference between red teaming that you're talking about and the normal penetration testing that we always hear about? So penetration testing as assessments it's maybe mostly targeting specific surface, or is done for compliance, for general basic level of ensuring that we have the minimum security controls are there and they are tested and they are fine and there is no major weaknesses we have. This is the main target for penetration testing. It only focuses on security controls, not the security team. The security team ignores the attack. They detect the attack through their systems and they ignore it. And there's mostly, as I said, for compliance, for minimum security level before going to production. Or even when they are in production and they want to release a new surface, they need penetration testing to make sure that this surface has the minimum security level to go in production without being without making the company vulnerable. Red teaming is a completely different target though. It tries to simulate the real threats that companies might face. It it basically bypasses the security team detections, the security controls, everything. It just performs kind of like a real attack. It performs a real attack on the organization. The only thing is that it doesn't really do the harm part. It does everything an attack does without the harming part, and it helps these organizations to protect themselves against the attacks that they see in the wild, against the ransomware attacks, against the target attacks, the different attacks they might be facing. And here's the thing: people who are working in different companies, they are reacting so much when they see an attack happen to a company beside them. They react really. How I can say, they follow the trend. If they see an attack that's happening and ransomware attacks happening everywhere, they are furious. They want to protect themselves now, and they will do any investment, any necessary investment to protect themselves. If you are the one who's either um, either offering retaining assessment, or you are offering to work with them, and you have studied how these attacks being performed, how ransomware attacks is happening, how you can simulate an attack like the attacks they might face, you will be very important. You will be their golden mine. You will be the person who might be actually the one that can protect them and can help them from losing millions of dollars and losing reputation. And it's not only losing reputation, it's the security team you'll be working on might lose the jobs, might get the manager might get an issue if there's a real attack has been successful. We have seen that sometimes, and it's not a good thing. So do you want to secure the job? Do you want to hire someone who can actually simulate these attacks and protect them against the attacks that they might see in the real market? Um, so, just answering some of the questions here, Nasjeb is asking, do I need to learn exploit development in malware analysis path? Because I want to understand malwares that exploit vulnerabilities in the system. Do I need to learn that? The whole thing is, how much time do you have? How much time do you have to in learning um, and learning mutation testing? Can you learn malware analysis and mutation testing together? Most of the cases you will not need to learn both at the same time. If you want to learn red teaming, then you can learn malware development. Well, in the way that's used for red teaming, you need to be a person who's working was going for that path and not using for another direction. But this is what I need to learn. You don't need to learn malware analysis, for example, because malware analysis is mostly for the defense. Malware analysis is really good if you want to work in blue team. You don't need to learn malware development. And I always say that you don't need to learn this for that. You don't need to learn blue team to understand red team, or learn red team to understand blue team very well. If you are, especially if you are at the beginning, if you are in advanced level, you are already working in blue team, you're already working as an incident handler, and you want to understand more how the attack happens. That can help you go from incident handler to senior incident handler, or from SOC tier 2 to SOC tier 3, by learning how the attack happens and learn red teaming as well. But if you are just started, or you build your career from the beginning, from the bottom up, you will not need to learn the other side at that time. You will not need to learn the defense side to understand the offensive, or vice versa. The exploit development part, it's a bit questionable. In many cases, you will not need to develop exploits like for Zerodays, as mostly you will need to develop a malware that bypasses defenses, bypasses different tools, escalate privilege, dump credentials, and move laterally inside our organization, and communicate, of course, to a CNC who is able to encrypt that communication, or use steganography, or use different techniques to be able to bypass defenses. So that's what you will need to learn if you want to perform reteaming. We'll talk about that now. But exploit development by itself might not be fully needed. It's good to learn. You will learn a lot by exploit development, but it's not what's needed right now. Um, So, shouldn't we learn penetration testing first? After that, we learn red teaming, or should we start with red teaming? You should know what's your goal, what's your target. Um, for the beginning, there are some fundamentals that both of them are the same. The prerequisites are the same. The CH or Security Plus you will need to learn. And when you go into penetration testing, you will need to look for both. Um, you will be studying, you will need some of the basics on how penetration testing work in general, and I think CH or Security Plus will have lots of it. And red teaming can take you from there. We'll go into the resources at the end, and you will see what exactly can be the way you should go. We'll talk about that more. I don't want to just burn the presentation too early. So let's continue. Um, So that's for the first skill. You will need to learn red teaming and understand how the RBT attacks actually work. If you learn that, and that will get you to really far ahead and when you are applying for any company, because most of people know penetration testing normal techniques, how to use nmap or fingerprint, normal surfaces that are open or ports are open, and how to knock them, web bug hunting, but very few people who understand the real attacks happening right now and know how to simulate these attacks. So that's what will get you way far ahead applying for any job in penetration testing or in offensive in general. The second skill, you need to learn how to develop your own tools. This is something very, very important, especially when it comes to penetration testing. Most of people they use known tools. They use Metasploit, they use Metapredator, which is part of Metasploit. So they use different tools that's already known in the market. They don't develop their own tools. And these tools, they are easily to be detected. They have their own signatures. At least if you obfuscate them and you encrypt them and so on, they might bypass some defenses, but not all of them. And they wouldn't bypass in the behavioral part. Their behavior will still be the same. Their network communication for most cases will still be the same, and there are signatures for them along the way. And at the end of the day, professionals develop the tools and script kids just use them. They don't understand how they work, they just use them. How many people have actually read Metapredator code or power exploit code? Nobody has read them. But people are using them, even they are open source. Nobody has even tried to read any parts of their code. They just know how to use them, and that's it. And ABT groups, most of the attackers that we see in the market, they develop their own malware. They develop their own arsenal of tools. Not only one malware, they develop multiple tools, multiple malware families to be able to have their own tools that bypasses the security defenses that hasn't been seen before, and it can apply their own zero days if they will have, or their own privilege escalation, their own lateral movements, or own defense evasion techniques that they already developed in-house. So they can easily bypass the defenses and as well the security controls or the security team detections. To be able to move far ahead in this career, you need to be able to develop your own tools. And that's really, really an important part. And as we said, current antivirus products or EDR detection response tools able to detect Metapredator or Cobalt Strike or PowerSploit or any of these tools, they are able to detect them. Even if you try to encrypt them or obfuscate them, these still can be detected, and also the network behavior can be detected. So the next question, what programming language should I learn? If I would learn a programming language, well, there are so many programming languages and everyone is useful for something. PowerShell is really, really good for scripting. And these scripts can easily run and perform a fileless attack, which is really, really an advanced type of techniques or advanced type of attacks that can bypass so many antivirus detections. There are different new technologies Microsoft has introduced to better detect partial malware, but still partial is a very useful scripting tool that can bypass so many defenses and actually get inside the organization. C sharp is the father of PowerShell, is the .NET most favorite language, is the most favorite kid of Microsoft, and it has so many different functionality. With C Sharp, you can develop a full functional malware, and it's easily be integrated with PowerShell. That's how C Sharp is good for. It can be easily integrated from PowerShell, it can be easily loaded from PowerShell, and there's so many good connections between them and between C Sharp and the whole Windows operating system. The only thing is that .NET in general is not a very good friend with Mac and with Linux. It's only made for, well, it is still cross-platform, but you need to have the .NET framework installed in different systems, and that doesn't happen by default. Then comes the C++, and it gives you the native access to all the Windows functionality. It's also good for cross-platform. It can work on Linux. You can develop a malware that's cross-platform, and as well you can use the internals of Windows to bypass EDR detections, to bypass different security features in the Microsoft itself, in Windows, or in the different antivirus tools. So it's very good for defense evasion, but it integrates way less with PowerShell and as well with C Sharp, and it doesn't load by itself like C Sharp can do. JavaScript and Visual Basic scripts are used a lot for malicious documents, inline scripts, and so on. And that's mostly for the for on the client side, on the in the victim side, the things that runs on the victim machine. But what can run on your own machine for your own CNC, for your own automation tools, for your own web attacking tools, whatever, Python is the best programming language. There's others like Ruby, which is used for Metasploit, but Python is the most known and mostly used. This is the bad news. There's so many languages and everyone is good in something. But this is the bad news. But the good news is that you don't need to learn all of them. You need to learn C++ for Windows internals, and you need to understand a little bit about C Sharp and .NET in general. The good thing is that when you learn the fundamentals of programming, all of these languages look kind of the same. They follow the exact same ideas and the same syntax. Windows internals and Windows and operating system internals stays the same. The Windows APIs or Windows functions, Windows commands like create file, delete file, and so on, these commands stays the same between all languages. You can still use them in C Sharp, which is a little bit of a workaround a bit, but it can be used in so many languages. C Sharp, though, has their own .NET. They use the .NET framework, and .NET framework is the same across PowerShell and C Sharp, and as well as the same type of commands. And once you learn a little bit of C Sharp, you will see that you are able to develop different things in PowerShell because they are very close to each other. PowerShell is basically developed by C Sharp, and it's just an automation tool created based on .NET and based on C Sharp. So learning C++ and a little bit of C Sharp will give you most of that. JavaScript and Visual Basic script, you can reuse different scripts that are online, and you can create out of them with your own thing. And Python, you might not need to develop your own CNCs because there's already others there, like Caldera, like other stuff. And the tools that are on your side, nobody will need to detect them. The only thing you care about is the communication between your CNC and your malware and the malware that you are dropping inside the victim machine. That's the most important tools you need to develop. The others, you can learn them along the way. So you can start with C++ and a little bit of C Sharp. After that, start with C++, the fundamentals, understand Windows APIs, how you can use them, understand what's loop, what's function, what's if else, what's a for I loop, all of these different things. You need to understand them, and after that, also understand pointers and variables and all of these things. After that, you can learn more about Windows APIs, Windows commands, and they are like open file, delete file, HTTP connect, and so on. And after that, you can learn a little bit of C Sharp, and then you will be ready to develop your own tools. For me, I have studied Visual Basic, but then when I moved to C++, I learned C++ in 1 week. I only spent 1 week, and then I started working on a project. The same I did for Java. I wanted to develop a game, mobile game. I spent maybe 1 week learning Java, and then I started developing directly. So have the idea that in your head, the tool that you want to develop, and learn programming through the development of this tool. Learn the fundamentals, the basics of the language, and then dive into developing the tool you want to develop and learn the programming language along the way. Programming languages are tools, are not targets, are not jobs, are not goal to achieve. They are your own tools. You can learn C++ to develop a game, to develop a malware, to develop a I don't know a rocket machine, and the learning, what you will learn is completely different from each project to the other. Each project is completely different in the tools you will be using, in the different APIs and different things. So learn for your own project. That's the most important. Learn the basics, the fundamentals, and then start developing your own tool and learn through the way. That's the second skill. And before I go to the third, I'll check the messages. Um, um, So, can these programming languages be used to create a handler like the one of Metasploit, like the Metapreter, or which one of the best for creating a handler? Yes, they can. They can be used to create your own Metapreter or other things. I think Metapreter is being developed in C++. It's not in Ruby or something because it's a malware basically. The same Cobalt Strike. I don't know what the language they use, but you can develop your own tool with whatever the language you want and use it and integrate it with Cobalt Strike. The same happens with Caldera, and Caldera is a tool developed by Meter organization itself. And this is basically a kind of like a command control server and a tool for red teaming, and it has its own malware. So it's the CNC, and you need to develop. It has something called agents like Metapreter and Metasploit, and you have different agents, and you can develop your own agent and make it connect with Caldera as well. So you can develop with any of these languages, C++ or C Sharp mainly, I would say. Also probably PowerShell, but I want to recommend that tools to communicate with Metasploit or communicate with Cobalt Strike or Caldera to continue your own analysis or your own assessment. OSCP is a good starting for teaming. I would say it's a good for foundation information, but it's not good for red teaming. It's not a red teaming type of training, but still, it's a really good training for the fundamentals in general in nutrition testing. Um, I see lots of conversations happening here. I will not go in deep about it, but what's your opinion about career shifting in cybersecurity? Example: first software engineer, second job in cybersecurity. Well, that's absolutely fine. I saw people converting from being an architect to cybersecurity, and you worked in a police in a company, and you worked in a really good job in cybersecurity. So you can career shift from any different type of job into cybersecurity. It's not needed to be in a specific direction. I have friends also worked in antivirus companies who were actually a pharmacist, and they have finished being pharmacists, and then they switched to cybersecurity. And he did that by having his own blog that has his own work and shows how skilled he is. So that's for the second. Um, So I see also a comment on LinkedIn saying a lot of companies are looking for penetration testers. Would be easier to get one of these rules and then advance into red teamer after you have some hands-on skills, or would it better to just go for red teamers from the beginning? Here's the thing. The skills can be worked for both. If you have the red teaming skills, you are more likely to get the penetration testing job than somebody else who doesn't. This is the good thing about it, is that it's an upgrade. It's the way you can outstand the other people. It's not a different job. It's the same type of attacks. The only thing is that rather than you're using simple techniques to simple uncommon techniques or old techniques to do your own penetration testing assessment, you are using the techniques are used nowadays to perform your own penetration testing assessment. If you also want to have a red teaming assessment, you can also do that and bypass the security teams that are there in their detection, as well as the security controls, and you can use threat intelligence to basically simulate the attacks that they might face specifically. But if the company doesn't want to this type of assessment, or they don't want red teaming, you can perform penetration testing assessment using the same knowledge of learned and red teaming. Look at it this way: it's penetration testing, and then like the next level is red teaming. Red teamers can do penetration testing. Penetration testing cannot do red teaming. This is the whole thing. This is a way to outstand in applying for any penetration testing job, and as well, it's an entry for you in red teaming. So let's continue. The third skill is to be able to pen test new systems and new infrastructures. And as you see, most of CTFs that you have seen, or most of vulnerable machines that you download, or most of labs, they are very similar in terms of the infrastructure. But in reality, companies are very different. They have different systems like point of sale or POS systems. They have different critical systems or industrial control systems. They might be using cloud systems like AWS or Azure. They might have different routers with different firmwares, different processors, and so much more. Companies are very different in their infrastructure, and when they are very different, you need to learn how to develop your own, how to be able to perform red teaming or penetration testing on these new systems. You need to understand how to research about these new systems, how to research their internal APIs and their known security weaknesses. And as well, you might need to reverse engineer a little bit if needed, to reverse engineer different tools or different systems, different programs they have in these systems, to be able to develop your own malware. So at the end, it's always a research and learn, and you need to demonstrate the ability that you can self-learn. So this is the most important part. So the three skills again. First skill, you need to learn APT attacks. You need to understand the threats that companies are facing nowadays and know how to analyze, how to simulate these attacks, how to simulate these attacks, and learn these techniques that these attackers are using, and actually learn how to use them. The second is to learn how to develop your own tools. All the APT groups develop their own tools. All the ransomwares are widely different from each other. The attackers behind them develop them for their target, for their own attack. So while you are using unknown tools like Metasploit or Cobalt Strike or Empire or whatever the tools you are using, these tools, if these tools are successful, the attackers have already been using them long time ago. They wouldn't have invested in creating their own tools. If you want to simulate real attacks, you need to be able to develop tools exactly like what they are developing. You need to be like them. You need to simulate them. You need to be able to develop your own tools too. So this is the second skill. And the third skill, you need to be able to research any new system that you might find from point of sale, to industrial control systems, to Azure, to AWS, to whatever the new infrastructure you might face, and able to perform penetration testing assessments on them as well. So this is the three tools, the three skills, and now we will talk about how to learn these skills. And what are the resources to to learn them. A question, why not Ruby for automation? Well, Python is what's mostly used, and you will see lots of good resources to learn Python and to use Python. Different programs already written in Python that can help you for automation, different libraries and so on that can help you, especially in penetration testing, more than what you will see in Ruby. But it's also your favorite. Um, So, what's the best books? What's the best courses? How to learn them? So, let's talk about how to learn all of the skills we have talked about. So, first, get your foundation right. Security Plus or CH, as we said, you will need to understand also the you need to understand Windows administration. You need to understand what's the domain controllers, domain accounts, firewalls, IDS, IPS, authentication, and authorization, cybersecurity background, cybersecurity fundamentals. You need to understand network protocols, as we have talked about. I found a good YouTube playlist that has actually um, a good course on network packets, on UTCP, UDP, IP, DNS, and so on, and how the packets looks like, how their structure looks like. You can check it out. The slides will be available, so you don't need to take screenshots and try to write these letters all again. I will provide you with the slides. And as well, you can practice on malware-traffic-analysis.net. The most important is not just learning the network packets and that's it. You can actually learn it in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of cybersecurity attacks. So you can look at malware-traffic-analysis.net and see how he provides lots of bcaps to analyze, lots of packet captures, and as well he analyzes them so you can follow the analysis and see how he look at this network, about this network packet captures and how he detect the malware inside of it. So that's for the foundation. And then for learning red teaming, you will need to learn the penetration testing fundamentals, how different things work, like maybe not OSCP completely, but something that can provide the foundation for a practical foundation for penetration testing. Plus that, to move into the next step, you have the foundation of penetration testing in general, from how attacks work, what are surfaces, the open ports, and different things, the things that you see in most of the penetration testing courses. But apart from that, will give you the basics. After that, you will need to read about so many different EBT attack groups. There is all of these EBT attacks that's happening. Different companies like Kaspersky, Trend Micro, FireEye, they write a complete reports about how this attack actually happened step by step. What are the functionalities inside their malware? What are the weaknesses they have exploited to deliver their malware, to split privilege, to move laterally inside the organization, and what they did exactly to perform the attack. And this GitHub link actually have a repository for all the different articles that have been published about different EBT attacks. So it's a really good resource, a really good reference. Go there and read as many articles as possible, understand how attacks looks like, and you'll see there is so many of similarities between them. They use the same spear phishing in a malicious document, probably. In this malicious document, they have different type of scripts that downloads another malware, and then from there they move to another machine and so on. You'll see so many common things between them, but it's very important to read different articles there. As well, dive deep into the meta attack techniques. You remember the screen that we show all the different techniques that are being used by attacks nowadays. All of these attacks have been documented by Meta organization. It's a non-profitable organization that talks about different attacks. You can see all of the different techniques that seen in the wild or even not seen in the wild are being documented inside this link. Go from there, go to every technique, dive into the references, search on the internet and how they are practically being used. So research on every single technique you see. What does it mean? How it's being used? Or and what are the different ways you can implement these attacks if you are performing a teaming assessment. So you will learn more and more about these techniques. As well, you can see in the Meta Attack Navigator every EBT group and what techniques they have used, how many times this technique has been used compared to others, and so on. After that, you can use different tools that are open source out there. You can read their code, you can read in the scripts they do provide, and learn to how you can perform these different techniques through the eye of different tools that already automate that process. There is a tool called Caldera that automates the whole red teaming process. Well, it's not the best, it's a basic tool for that, doesn't bypass defenses or doesn't bypass detection so well, but it's a very known tool, and they show you how you can perform each of the techniques you will see in Meta Attack. They have the exact script, the exact command line, the exact command that can help you perform this technique. So with Caldera, you can learn how you can use these techniques in real life. You will get different scripts. You will create your own cheat sheet of all the different scripts and techniques that you can use when you're performing your red teaming assessment. Also, the same like Caldera, there's atomic red team, which as well has lots of scripts, lots of commands, lots of code that you can directly use in your own red teaming assessment, and as well you can learn how they work. The whole idea is not to copy paste all the different commands that are used by Caldera or Atomic Red Team, but to understand how these commands work and how you can modify them to bypass defenses, to implement them in your own scripts, and so on. As well, there is a tool up here, I think it's called EBT Simulator, which can help you as well learn about how you can simulate an EBT attack. Actually, the whole idea is not to use the tool, but to read the source code of the tool. The tool is provided in GitHub. The whole source code is there. Try to dive deep into it and read the code. So there are different tools that you can read their code and actually understand how you can perform persistence, lateral movement, privilege escalation, defense evasion, and how they are being done in the code itself, how they are being done in the script that's being delivered to the attacker, how it's being done in C# or PowerShell or command line or JavaScript or Visual Basic script. You can read these tools to learn how these techniques work. At the end of the day, the tools get deprecated. PowerSploit, which was a very known tool, it has been deprecated now. So the techniques, the whole concept is still the same. It's still there. So you can read the source code and understand how these techniques are being used in PowerShell, and you can actually take snippets out of them and create your own cheat sheet of scripts or commands that can help you simulate a specific technique. The same as Sharpsploit, which is the next level after PowerSploit. It's the same as PowerSploit, but it's been written in C#. You have the Caldera agents. All the malware that's included in Caldera are all open source, or most of them are open source. You can actually dive into their source code. They are written in different languages, including Go language, I think C# probably, and C++. You can check it and see what's the different rats that are being developed, the different malware that are being developed. And as well, if you have a good machine, or even in Azure, you can have a free, let's say, you can create your own machines for free in Azure. Azure is a cloud platform provided by Microsoft, and you can create different machines there, like a fake company out there, like a command control or Active Directory, different employees machine, the IT support machine. You can create all of these machines inside Azure. And Azure gives you 170 euros for free when you create an account there, so you can use them to simulate all of these attacks. You can create a fake company there, and actually simulate attacking them. And there's a Splunk attack range can help you do that. It can create a whole fake company inside Azure, inside the cloud, and you can test your own attacks, test your own scripts, and see if you can actually get your feet inside one of the machines and move laterally from one to another, escalate privilege, maintain persistence, and so on. So it can help you practice all what you have learned. This is a way better way to practice than CTFs of vulnerable machines. Most of the vulnerable machines are Linux machines that are vulnerable or old, but in the majority of cases you don't see that in real life. You start with a Windows machine from one of the employee, and the servers are fully updated most of the cases, or almost fully updated, and they have so many different things happening there, so many security controls, so many monitoring happening on these servers, and getting into them is not as easy as you can do on different vulnerable machines. So you need to learn the real attacks, and this is a good start for you. Also, you can dive into so many different privilege escalation techniques, Kerberos attacks, and so on through this preload, all the things, and they have let's say, lists of all the different techniques and different articles and different resources that helps you learn Windows privilege escalation, helps you learn about Kerberos attacks, and so on, and persistence and different things. As well, there is a good source called UAC-Me. It's about bypassing user access control in Windows, all the different techniques that are being used there to bypass the user access control. The defense evasion, there's lots of different things. And as you see, there's no one training that collects all of them. Most of the red team trainings are actually in Black Hat or by DevSecOps or Spectre Ops, which is mostly like $3,500 and more, and sometimes $5,000 in Black Hat. So these trainings are really expensive, but you will find lots of information in different articles, different researches, and it's a lot of self-learning. And as I always say, read and understand, and don't just use tools. As well, you can check our own blog. We cover as well different techniques. We have started it with 2 articles so far, and then probably 1 article will be released tomorrow. So make sure you check it out, and all the different resources I have posted here. Any questions so far about the resources? So these are the most important resources that I have for red teaming. So that's basically for all the tools. For PowerShell, for programming, you can check SpectreOps PowerShell training. It's free and it's really great training. You can check the Red Team PowerShell cheat sheet, which is a really good source. And the C++, of course, it has so many sources. You can learn from wherever you want. Udemy is full of courses and on others as well. As well, you can learn more about Windows internals and how it works through Windows internals book. It's more a reference, but it's also a great book to understand so many things about Windows operating system and so on. And then research is your key. You need to be able to research, to dive deep into system internals, to read API documentation, read source code, read assembly if needed, and you can start this process by reading different tools source code. You have so many different cybersecurity tools in GitHub. They are open source. You can read them and you can learn from them. I also have my own tools. If you can check in GitHub, I have the Broker Simulator, I have the Security Research and Development Framework, which is a framework that helps you develop any type of cybersecurity tool, and it's all free and it's all open source. You can read the code and understand and learn. You don't have to use these tools. You need to just read the source code and understand and dive deep into the knowledge of it. So from all of them, you can develop your own tools that suits exactly the things you need to do. So that's all of these tools. And now, if you don't mind, I will go for 10-15 minutes talking about what we have offered for you to help you in your process and in learning penetration testing, or mainly red teaming. And here we go. So we have developed a training that's basically an kind of a live instructor-led training. It will be a class where we are when I'm with you in every single step. It's not like a training that's being pre-recorded and you just listen to it in your own time, and maybe you learn something, maybe you didn't understand something, and hopefully you will catch the trainer in a message and email. If you don't understand, you just didn't understand. This is not the stuff. This is I will be with you in the same moment, teaching you, and as well, if you didn't catch something, I will repeat it in a different way, in a third way, in a fourth way. You develop something, and I'm watching over you, helping you through. You face an error, I help you with it. You face a bug here, I help you with it. I am with you, and it will be a very, very small number of students because I cannot help so many people at the same time. So it will be me and Muhammad Talat, and both of us, we will help you in this training. We will be working almost one-on-one with every single person. Make sure that everyone has got all the information on time and able to develop and able to do the hands-on that we are providing and able to follow with the training. That type of in-depth mentoring type of training, it will be really, really helpful and will be very strong for you to get the knowledge on time, to not miss any point, and able to finish the full training in just 4 hours, finish 24 hours of training in just 4 days, and able to actually grasp this information and elevate your skills way much more in less than a week. So this training will be focused on the attacks that actually matters to companies, the real EBT attacks, the ones that I saw in Semantic, the one that I am seeing every single day until now. It will be full of hands-on, will be about EBT simulation, developing your own cyber weapon, and it will help you learn rethinking and the techniques used by top attackers around the world, able to develop your own weapons, to develop your own cybersecurity weapons, to develop your own RAT, bypass detection, bypass defenses. We will be developing this tool and communicating back to a CNC, which is Caldera. We'll be using Caldera as the CNC, and we'll be able to develop our own tool, bypass defenses, and as well bypass the security team protection, and we'll be able also to reverse engineer new systems and develop malware for the new systems, for a critical system, might be a point of sale or an industrial control system. Whatever the system will choose will be in this training and will help you to learn how to develop for a new system in general. So this training is for cybersecurity professionals, penetration testers, people who wants to learn purple team or threat hunters, instant hunters, SOC analysts, and so on. It's mainly for people who have the prerequisites that we have talked about or talk about now, which is good IT administration background in Windows, mainly good cybersecurity background and C++ or programming fundamentals in general. If you have these, you are eligible to join this training. And of course, if you are also not developing or using what you have learned for any of the black hat type of activities or gray hat activities, it's only for being a cybersecurity professional. And the big question, why do I need this training? Well, this training is absolutely different from any of the penetration testing courses you saw on Udemy, you saw everywhere on the world. This type of training is for the attacks that actually happen in real life. The ransomware attacks, the EBT attacks, the target attacks, the techniques are being used in the wild. The training is focusing on what the companies and what makes the companies lose millions of dollars each year. And if you are the person who's able to protect the organizations against these attacks, you are worth these millions they are losing every year. You are worth these millions to them. If you are the one who can protect them, you are worth all the investment that they can do to protect their own data and protect their own reputation. So, in brief, this training is not just to learn rethinking, separate from penetration testing. This is for you to be an outstanding candidate applying for any job in the offensive security, from penetration testing to red teaming to whatever the offensive job that you are applying for. This is to make you outstand from all the different crowd. We know that 70% of people who start their cybersecurity career start with penetration testing. I started with penetration testing. Everyone started there. How you can now stand from all of them? How you can be the one that gets the actual job? There's everyone there has already their recipe or CH or CCNA or all of these certificates. Some of them have experience than you have. They had internships or they had this and this and that. How you can outstand from all of this crowd? How you can be the one that is way better than them? And this is what this training is about. It's not to teach you something different than penetration testing. It's to elevate your skills from just basic penetration testing to a level where you are an outstanding in that career. You can work in as a red teamer as well. You can work as a penetration tester, but you will be way ahead than anybody applying for penetration testing jobs because you understand the attacks that's happening nowadays in the market. You are the next level. So we talked about the prerequisites. Let's talk about the training agenda. And before I will just check the chat. Omar Ahmad is saying thanks for expanding my mind with this stuff. So absolutely welcome. Milad is saying thanks for presentation. We're waiting for the material. You're absolutely welcome. Amar is saying, sir, will we be able to write malware as well as the end of the course? Absolutely yes, and not just a malware. It's a malware that can bypass the security defenses. It can escalate privileges. It can move laterally inside the organization. It's a type of malware that is like the ones that are used by EBT groups. The main goal, though, because this knowledge, and I was very hesitant for so long time, and people know about that, they're very hesitant against for teaching this material. But the reason that I decided to teach it is because being used a lot in red teaming, and I want to make sure that everybody joins is actually a person who will use it for only the white hat hacking, for only red teaming assessments, people working as cybersecurity professionals. That's why the main target was just cybersecurity professionals who work in companies. Now we're opening it for students who are proving that they are following a cybersecurity path and not following any black hat path. What is the content? First, the training agenda. It's 4 days training. Each day will be 6 hours of pure training. We'll start at 11 p.m. Which is GMT +1, I think. All the things are written on the website in exactly details, so you can check it out. And we'll start by introduction to EBT attacks, of course, what's EBT attack and how the attack stage looks like, how examples of a real EBT attack, and how to set up your own Caldera CNC, and we'll have the virtual machine for you as well, and there will be a hands-on in this part. Then we'll go into the initial access, how to get your foot inside the organization. We'll be talking about so many different techniques, spear phishing with malicious documents, spear phishing with links, spear phishing with social media. We'll talk about so many different techniques, and we'll have a hands-on as well. Then we'll talk about the whole EBT simulation process, how to build your simulation process, use threat intelligence information to build your own attack strategy, and step by step prepare and build your tools, or plan the tools that you want to build, your own rat or your own malware that you will deploy, and the whole thing. That's for the first day, and we'll learn more about the strategies and the EBT attacks, of course. The next day, we will start writing our own malware. We'll be writing our own backdoor, where you will know how to maintain persistence, and we'll have more than 20 different techniques to maintain persistence. Many of them can bypass defenses. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about advanced techniques as well, and how we can disguise the malware to be inside the legitimate process. We'll also talk about the malware plugin framework, how to have a malware that has different plugins and different modules that being added, like a keylogger, like a mimikatz, and so on. We'll talk about privilege escalation. We'll talk about fileless attacks and advanced attacks. And what you see here, we are diving deeper into malware development, into advanced techniques. We are not talking just about basic stuff. We're talking about basic stuff, but we're diving into until the most advanced techniques you will see. In day 3, we are focusing mainly about defense evasion. We're talking about malware obfuscation, network obfuscation, and as well we'll be talking about writing malware for critical systems. So we're talking about so many different techniques for defense evasion and as well detection evasion that can bypass security controls and as well as the detection, the SOC team, the incident response team, and so on, and how you can develop that hands-on in your own malware. And the last year we'll talk about the lateral movements, how you can perform a Kerberos attack, how you can steal credentials, how you can impersonate different users. And most of the attacks happen after most of the activities, most of the action happen actually after the attacker get into his foot into the organization. Most of the attacks, or almost any attacker, can get inside an organization, can get his foot inside the organization if he is persistent enough. But the big question is how he can move from one employee machine until he reach the Active Directory, until he reach the key to the treasure, until he reach all the credentials of all the domains, or all the different machines or different employees inside the organization. And that's what we'll be talking about in day 4. We'll talk about the network reconnaissance, the discovery. We'll talk about Bloodhound as a tool and how this tool works in real life. We'll talk about lateral movement, talk about credential theft, impersonalization, hijacking RDB sessions, and so many different things. This is just the training agenda. This is what we'll be covering in the training. And as I told you, this will be lots of malware development. This will be lots of hands-on and lots of advanced techniques. And also, it has lots of the basic techniques. We start from what's an EBT attack until all the advanced techniques. We are still saying our main target is someone who has good Windows administration skills, basics in programming in C++, the C++ fundamentals, and understanding networks. We don't want somebody who is super advanced already in penetration testing, who's already a senior and wants to move forward. Of course, he's absolutely welcome, but I mean, we will tailor this training to people who are starting in red teaming and wants to go forward, have the very basic knowledge about penetration testing, and they want to dive into this type of attacks. We'll be talking from basics until advanced. We will have also developed our own malware through that time. So you will be getting this, as well as we said, you will get all our live virtual classroom training, which is all these different things we have already talked about. And as well, will be lots of one-on-one parts. Me and Muhammad Talat will be both helping you through the process. And Muhammad Talat was someone who dived so deep into bypassing different EDR, different EDRs, different antiviruses, different products, and he was able to bypass even the machine learning type of products, the most advanced type of techniques. He was able to write a malware that bypasses them, and he will be teaching some of his top techniques in this training. You will not only get that, but also you will get the Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career course. We have made this course live earlier in March. The response was super positive, and this gives you the fundamentals. So you want to join this training. This training will happen in a month or less than a month. It will happen on 12th of July. Today we are 15, so it's less than a month, and in this time you have time to study Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career, which gives you a really good introduction to everything we'll be covering in this training. It talks about the attack, how the attack actually happens. It talks about EBT attacks. It talks about Caldera. It talks about writing a malicious document. It gives you really a good push as for what we will be covering on the first day. It talks about the response as well, how the incident handlers detect the attack, and it's also a good introduction to know about the cybersecurity defenses and what you are trying to bypass. And the last, it talks about investigation and malware analysis, which will help you a little bit in how to write a malware. It will give you the key important features that malware includes, and that will help you when we talk about malware development. You will get this training completely for free once you sign up today. Whenever you sign, you will get this training as soon as you sign. And this training has been really, really impressive. People really loved it. And this is just some of the comments we have seen about this training. Thank you so much, Amar, for the great effort in this training. We have covered many topics and techniques of red team and blue team and simulating the thinking of the attacker and how to deal with them in practice in the most realistic way. And that's what we did in Kickstart your cybersecurity career, and as well what we are doing in the advanced red teaming. As well, we have a testimonial who's saying, I would like to infinitely thank Amar for the great, deep, and outstanding course. The Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career cover a huge amount of knowledge, and I would recommend for everyone who's willing to dive and excel in cybersecurity. We have also Sharavan, and he was saying, basically, I have gone through many courses and boot camps in order to learn real life cybersecurity operations. But significant amount of these courses showed old techniques or some better tools. However, the sessions delivered by Amr Thabit covered that gap and explained me the reality of the industry and the methodology. Are personally working in the industry and got really juicy and interesting knowledge. I highly recommend you to attend this training. The main thing that he didn't start with the tools, but with the social engineering and the cybersecurity kill chain methodology, which was superb and unique. So this is the thing, right? We are not like any other training you see in Udemy or different things. This is way more. This is way more into the reality of the industry, the methodology, the way the attacker is thinking, the actual cyber kill chain, the actual attack, the strategy behind the attack, and what's actually in the real world is not just different tools or old techniques, as Sharavan was saying. So you will get our live virtual classroom training, which will cover the ABT attacks, will cover the ABT simulation, we'll write our own malware, we'll write custom malware for critical systems, fileless attacks, we'll cover fileless attacks, defense evasion, and lateral movements, and so on. As well as you will get the Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career, you will get our own tools that we have developed in-house, our scripts, our samples, our labs. You will get also the slides, of course, you will get the VM we have developed, and our tools, and we'll help you develop your own as well. So you have our own tools and you have your own, and we'll not just have 4 days and then forget about you like so many different companies. We will have a Facebook group, we'll have Slack channel that will for continuous support, and as well we'll have a bi-monthly Zoom calls every second week. It's actually every Monday. We do it for our students for the malware incident response training. You will be also joining that. You'll be able to ask questions about root teaming, communicate with other professionals who work on the defense side and as well in the attack side, and you'll have a 1-year support from me where you can join these sessions, talk about your red teaming assessments, talk about your own malware, talk about issues you have found in developing them, or how you can improve. And we have a wide variety of professionals there, from directors to incident response managers to people who develop their own malware and they have been showing us their own malware, people who are developing automation tools, and so much more. There's so many professionals, and you'll be able to communicate with them and with me, and they'll be monitoring you through the process. And the mentorship was really something that so many people have really loved about our previous training, our malware incident response training, which is not previous, still currently there. And one of them is Mohit Nehru. He was saying that have to say that if you're planning or joining the course, he was talking about malware incident response. He was saying don't mix up with anything else, stick on with it until the end. And he was saying here, having met Amar here in Dublin, I believe a mentor who exhibits his passion for what he does is a truly artist in real life. I only felt same for 2 people in my life, one from my university and masters, and another for Amar. If you're reading my comments, please humbly consider my advice. You'll find a purpose beyond, but only and only when you stick to this training. Amar is saying, you will not find anyone who's sharing his experience with you as Amr did. I see this super important. Without somebody who guides you and gives you the full picture, it may take you a few years to learn new skills that you will learn from this program. He's talking about the malware incident response with only a few months. So don't waste your time and build on top of others' expertise. And that's the message, right? I will give you not only the knowledge that I know, but also my expertise, what I see in the market, what I see in real attacks that's happening nowadays. All of that you will see in this training. You will, of course, get a certificate of completion after this training. So you'll get our live virtual classroom, which will help you almost one-on-one for 4 days. You will get the Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career. You will get our own tools, our own scripts, our own samples, our own labs, and so on. And it's not just one module. You will get different scripts for JavaScript, for Visual Basic Script, for PowerShell, for C Sharp, for C++. You'll get so many different things for so many different tools. You will get all our tools. You'll get the Facebook group and the Slack channel for continuous support, and as well you'll get the bi-weekly Zoom course for me for 1 year. So once the training finishes in 4 days, you will not just be forgotten. You will continue that training with me for 1 year. You will continue developing your own tools. This training is not 4 days. It's a 1 year training. It's a 4 days intensive crash training, and after that a continuous support for 1 year to come through Facebook, through Slack channel, through Zoom calls. You can ask, you can be there, you can share the screen, you can help you through different things, and I will be guiding you through so many different things as well. So all of that will be for $1,600. It's an early bird price, and this is actually expiring in 5 days. We have planned it will be expiring on the 1st of June, and when we made it in Arabic, then we switched it to English because we had so many people asking us to join with the English language. So we decided to for them to join, we allowed them to join, and we expanded it until 20th of June. So the early price is $1,600. After that, the price will increase. It will be $1,750. So if you want to join, make sure you join in this next 5 days. You will join in these 5 days, and here's the thing. If you are joining today, you will get access to the Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career training. You will get access to this training. You will have access to this. You can study that. You can study C++, a small C++ training. You can have the fundamentals. You can prepare yourself in this 1 month. You have 1 month, almost 1 month. You can prepare yourself in this month. You can learn all the missing bits and pieces before you go into the training. You can sign up now, get access to the Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career training. You join that, you watch it, you learn from it, you practice with it. You go into C++ training, simple one, and just learn the C++ basics, develop simple stuff, learn what's if else, what's loops, what's pointers, what's variables, and the basic things about C++. You have the programming fundamentals, and 1 month is completely enough for that, right? Once you have these things, you will be ready for the training when it starts. It will start on 12th of July. Exactly 12th of July. It will not be 9 a.m. It will be around 11 a.m. It will be the GMT, I think, or GMT plus 2. I'm not sure, but I need to check. You can find everything in that link. You can find all the information, and from here you can actually join the training, and you will have a form you will complete. You can do the payment, and you will join the training. If you have an issue with the payment, you can reach out to me if you want to join the installment or something like that, or you have any issue with the payment. As well, we offer for group. If you know there's 2 other people in your company, or your company wants to pay for you and pay for 2 others, the training will be 1,280 rather than 1,600 for 3 people or more. So that's all the information, and I'm going back to the questions. Just last recap, you can the training will be our live virtual classroom training, which is lots of one-on-one, hands-on. You will do the thing. I will be with you. I will be on top of you. I will be looking at what you do. You will share the screen. I will help you. No, you wrote this wrong. This is the mistake you have done. This is what you should do. I will reteach everything 2-3 times until you actually get the information, and we'll be covering from basic to advanced techniques. We'll also get our Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career course. You will get our own rat malware, our own scripts and samples and labs. We'll get the Facebook group and the Slack channel, so we can continuously support you, and as well the bi-monthly Zoom calls for support and mentorship. And all of that by registering today. You have only 5 days for this price before it expires on 20th of June. And now I will go for the questions. So, oh, I have been tagged a lot. Um, so Amar is saying, please provide us some discount who are live and listening now. Amar, you already registered for our you already have access to our malware incident response training. With that, you can get a special discount if you reach out to me. I would like to join, but please, hi, my salary is barely fourth of this. I can understand. Um, I am true. I am already experiencing the same with the malware incident response training. True, Rockstar Armor. Thank you very much. Um, does this have a payment plan? We can provide a payment plan, but this payment plan will be before the training starts. So you can, if you sign up today or you message me today, you can have one payment now and one payment before the training starts, and you can join and have 1 month of payment time. Any question, guys? Any other questions? Let me check on the LinkedIn part. Can we get the PowerPoint? Yes, all the presentation, all the PowerPoint will be included. So yes, is focusing on Windows malware for beginners is the best way to get a junior job? Well, here's the thing. Linux malware is not the most common thing. What we mostly see is the Windows malware, not the Linux malware. And I'm talking about things that I see in the field. There is Linux, there is Mac, but mostly we see most of the attacks are happening on the Windows part. But the good thing here is that we are teaching C++. I might cover as well some parts related to cross-platform type of malware, how they can work on Linux and Mac. We might talk about that. Depends on the time we have in this training. I can't promise about that, but we can help you with this. And is the Windows malware is for beginners. Actually, not just for beginners, for professionals and for advanced people. Most of the people who are starting as pen testers are none like starting as trying to find a junior job in penetration testing. They don't know anything about programming. They don't know how to develop any malware. They don't know how tools actually work. They just know how to use the tools. They know how to use Kali. They know how to use Nmap. They know how to use OS fingerprinting and different vulnerable machines and so on. They don't know more than that. You will be way more by just able to develop something. And developing a malware that can bypass defenses will get you way up ahead than any other junior and sometimes seniors in many cases. In malware analysis, focusing on Windows malware. In malware analysis, yes, focusing on Windows malware is pretty enough. What do you think about bug hunting feature? The problem is with bug hunting is that companies are not happy to pay the bug bounty. Microsoft has stated that, and different companies have said that they don't want to pay bug bounties. They want to invest that money that they pay to other people and use it to pay it for their own team, for awareness programs, for training, for secure coding training to their teams to stop having these vulnerabilities in the future. So they don't like to pay somebody outside. Add to this that it's very, very crowded. There's so many people in the bug bounty world. You can find a vulnerability and you report it, and it's being already duplicated. There's people who I found they had 3 duplicates. They received 3 emails in the same day of 3 different duplicates. They found 3 different vulnerabilities and they are all duplicates and they got 0 money out of it. So the result is not really good. If I don't know C++ and Linux at all, would I understand the training? It will be quite difficult, I would tell you. But if you can study for that 1 month, an intense study to learn C++ fundamentals, to learn cybersecurity fundamentals, to learn a little bit of Linux, because we will focus more on Windows, but you will need to also understand Linux in general and to understand the administration, understand how operating system works. If you can dive through. We have given lots of resources, lots of free resources here. If you can dive into them in this 1 month, you can be ready for the training. What do you recommend for someone who is over 60 who's trying to get into the nutrition testing area? That's actually a difficult question because it has something to do with what's your background already. In this case, you might look for things that are not very technical. People or companies don't look at people who are over 40 to be technical as people who are under 40. So being very technical over 40, it's a little bit difficult for the companies to digest hiring. Of course, if you show that you have the skills, it's fine. But over 60 might be the time they see it as a time for retirement. So it might be a bit of a difficult thing. The other side, though, you can build your own company. If you are, let's say, if you are under pension and you have already the time and the support, you can start your own business providing nutrition testing assessments, and you can learn and actually perform different nutrition testing assessments or rethinking. So that could be a better way. Can we buy the Kickstarter cybersecurity career course while deciding on joining the full course because of the price? You can buy, and when you buy, I will refund you the full price once you join the advanced teaming. So the Kickstarter cybersecurity career is actually $197. That's the price currently, and with that you can join that. You can go through it completely, learn it, and then join the advanced teaming. But it's better that you message me because the price will expire in 5 days. So the $1,600 price for the training. So make sure that you are already making your decision before that, or you message me about it before, so we can keep that price for you. Would you offer this in offline, non-live video training made like malware incident response training, so we can go through it in slow pace as our schedule allows? I might think about that. I wouldn't say it will be this year, but if something like this will happen, it might be next year. My question is, will it be different from malware analysis? My question is, will this be different from malware analysis? The training is completely different. It's a completely different field. But the quality of the material will be like our malware incident response training. The training will be on development, on bridge escalation, on method attack, on simulating real attacks. It will be about penetration testing and red teaming. It wouldn't be about malware analysis, but the quality will be the same. Here's in Ghana, companies rely heavily on certifications. How I can breach that gap? Well, that's an issue. With that, the only way that I see that works for me and works for others is you build your own skills. You build the proof that you have the skills, whatever your own blog, your own researches, your own tools, and so on. And rather than you apply for jobs, you reach out to the hiring managers. If these managers understand their job really well, they will know how skilled you are. They will know from your resume, from your projects you have created, from the different researches you have done, that you have the skills that it takes to get the job. And you might be way better than people who are applying for with certificates. The truth is about certificates is that there's so many ways to fake certificates. Not to create a fake one, but to have someone who go to the exam for you and do the same certificate for you. And we have seen that in so many different things. So is it good to really to have the certificate? In many cases, not. And companies and hiring managers, they see that people have certificates, but they don't have the skills. So hiring managers know about certificates is not the best proof. They know about that. The ones who understand the job, they know about that. Rather than you apply through normal procedures and apply through job openings, you can reach out to the hiring managers directly. You can research the company on LinkedIn, find the hiring manager, and reach out to him directly, applying for the job that's being opened and explaining why you have the skills for the job. That would be a better way to go. Question is, Will they be different from malware training? Adul, I'm not really understanding your question very well. If you can explain a bit more. Um, any questions on the LinkedIn, guys? Um, So Hassan is saying, I totally disagree with you 100%. It might be different from from one country to another. I would be happy to listen to your stories as well. And as I told you, hiring managers, there's two types: the people who understand their job and people who don't. I didn't have. I was graduated from mechanical engineering. I didn't have any cybersecurity job before, any experience, and I got a job in HCert, I got a job in Komodo, I got a job in QCert, and I got also two other companies who were reaching out for me to work with them. One of them is WebRoot, Brevex actually, which is part of WebRoot. I have shared that before in different emails. All of that was because of my analysis of Stuxnet and as well my work on the tool that I developed, which is called Boca Simulator. So it's by showing my skills I was able to get a job there. I remember when I was in the presentation when I was talking about my book simulator, somebody from in a company in Egypt from Europe actually who came to me and gave me his card and told me, "Would you like to work with us in our company?" After I just finished the presentation. So yes, I didn't have a certificate. I didn't have I wasn't even graduated from computer science. I didn't have any prior experience, and as well I got so many different offers. So the truth is, it does happen. Some people have frustrating cases, and I do understand that as well. Um, if you don't have OSCP, it is difficult to get a pen testing job. Good luck with that. I understand your frustration, I understand this point, and uh, I understand. I must confess I have learned so much today. This webinar is worth more than the $10,000. Thanks for sharing with us completely free, Mr. Amr. You are absolutely welcome. And as well, all the slides will be there for all the free resources I have included if you want to go through the links. And as well, the training is here if you want to join at any time. Last words. Um, what we are offering in the training, just to recap, we are will be covering the live virtual classroom training, and it will be ABT attacks and meta attacks, the ABT simulation, the initial access, how do you get inside an organization, the privilege escalation, the defense evasion, even advanced techniques for defense evasion, bypassing different defenses, the bypassing detection. We'll cover also fileless attacks. Um, or cover lateral movements, or will be covering impersonating users, writing your own malware for custom systems, and so much more. We'll be covering with lots of hands-on, with lots of malware development. We'll be with you in that training. We'll also provide Kickstart your cybersecurity career course, your own. We'll provide our own tools or scripts, and as well we'll have a support for 1 year through Facebook group, through Slack channel, through the Zoom calls, through everything, and we'll be with you through all of that. And all of if you want to register, go to maltrack.com/red team. You'll find all the information about this training, as well the form to sign up. And if you have any question about payment, about different things, reach out to me, and I can help you and assist you with that. That's it for today. Um, I know some people, they have talked about the idea of having a recorded version or things like that. I wanted to be able to help people one on one, to be able to be with the person and help him step by step. I don't want to see a person taking a course and not finishing it. And I see that happens a lot. So I want to be with you step by step, make sure you get all the information. For me to dedicate that time, for me um, to take these days just dedicated for that training, to work with you through one-on-one in this training for only very few number of people. That what makes this training with that price range and and with that situation. So that's it. He's asking, is FireEye and Kaspersky malware analysis trainings are a good source? I don't know. I didn't take their courses, so I cannot really judge. You can see if they have any reviews online. Probably there's lots of people who have already taken it. I really think that headline in your training sounds very attractive. I would like to attend. As I said, the price is high. Maybe in the future I will join. You're absolutely welcome at any time. If you have other people who wants to join as well, you can get the training with 1,280 rather than 1,600, and reach out to me if you want an installment or anything else. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoy, and see you in the next live. And thank you for joining. I really appreciate all your comments, guys. The ones agreeing, disagreeing, the one who enjoyed it, all the questions. Thank you very much. And I really hope that you get something out of this presentation, and see you next time. Bye-bye.